Think you or someone you know is a guru and want to be interviewed for our show? Message us here on YouTube. I'm Londa Graff, and welcome to the Beyond Natural. Now, before we start, I wanted to give a big thank you to all who watched our launch episode last week. And mucho gracias to Roger Marsh from Examiner.com, who featured our show in an online article. Now, who doesn't love attention, right? Right? Now, I promised you awesome clips from STPI's investigations, a paranormal guru interview, and a few pieces of evidence. To clarify, if there is no evidence for an investigation, then we'll just have to share some great experiences. Now, part of keeping my promise involves bringing you some clips from case number 3. Now, this case was presented to STPI by the homeowner, who within the last year experienced the loss of her husband. Multiple claims by the homeowner and other family members believed that the presence of their lost relation was still in the home and asked STPI to assist them in finding out. Now, you may wonder if this is one of the typical reasons people have paranormal investigations conducted in their homes. It is one of the reasons, but there are many more. Regardless of why, when investigations are requested, we keep the following purposes in mind. 1. Confirm the suspicions of the homeowner, whatever these may be. 2. Attempt to allay the fears a homeowner may have. And 3. If an entity is causing turmoil or disrupting daily life, see what we can do to help alleviate the situation. Ultimately, people want to feel safe and comfortable, and STPI aims to let our clients regain that sense of security. You shouldn't have to worry about feeling safe in your own home. Now back to case 3. Now this case was interesting. There were a few personal experiences, a few noises, and this first personal experience you're going to see occurred shortly after our first team, Greg and Kim, entered the home. Check it out.
Kim, the motion light is lit up in there. It's not light. Oh, I just thought I saw a shadow over in the corner by that curtain. Yeah, I just lit up again.
Now, golden rule of investigating, attention to detail. Here Greg shows it when he noticed the motion sensors going off in the room. Now, strange little tidbit, we had claims from the client that in that doorway their relation would stand every morning. Now, the team was unaware of this, but strangely enough they were still drawn to the room. Prior to this clip, which you can see on our actual investigation footage, Kim felt like something was in that doorway and saw a shadow move across it. Now, our next clip occurs with Greg when he's on camera duty during the second team's chance in the home. Check this one out. Little freaky.
You guys want to do some
you know what? You
temperature change behind my back?
You remember how
Check the temperature
you
again?
remember how I said, oh my goodness.
The hairs on my head and my back and everything is standing up on me from
They
behind
were
me.
getting the readings they were flat and now they're going again.
A little word of advice to all you paranormal investigators. When the cameraman's talking, be quiet, listen.
Like I've got tingling everywhere, like somebody's right behind me.
Dude, you're at 89.
My back feels like it's freaking ice cold.
93.
Crazy! Now, up until that point in the evening, no one had experienced anything like the chills that Greg was getting. Now, it's important to notice, too, how Greg doesn't sound like himself either. He stutters with his thoughts, and his words are messed up. He's genuinely freaked. Now, even more interesting is that no one else had the same experience in the house during the investigation, although the bathroom did seem a little eerie to everyone. Now, our final clip from case number 3 involves the last team, Destin and Mike. Let's watch.
EMS spike you had in the laundry room, that's just strange.
Yeah, it was a temporary occurrence.
I mean, that's like her.
It was like a traveling arc or something. It's either off of that breaker box or it was his own little. There was nothing else standing up though. It sounded like.
Go in there.
That's a lot closer to it, but it was a higher pitch, like it was actually in this room.
And whatever it was, it had to have been behind it, because the motion sensor didn't go off.
Whoa! A strange knock coming from an unknown source? Destin and Mike attempted to recreate the noise with no success. Now, some would say that the knocking was human interference, but there were only 3 investigators at the most in the home at any given time, 2 investigating and 1 on camera. As Destin also mentioned, the motion sensors did not go off and would have in the event something was moving. So now that I have you enthralled a little bit, let's change topic for a few minutes. A guest guru of the week! This week's guest guru is Claudia Day, a paranormal investigator and researcher, and one of STPI's paranormal consultants. Claudia is a sweet lady. She's intelligent and knowledgeable about the paranormal. Thankfully, I have the pleasure of knowing this woman personally, and I'm glad to give you the chance to know her as well. So welcome to the Beyond Natural, Claudia. How are you doing today?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm awesome, and you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Had a great day.
We're having some bad weather here. How about in KC?
Oh man, it's been nice. It's gotten cold a little bit, but it's been really nice. It was beautiful today.
That's good to hear. Now, I know you're short on time, so we'll get right to it. How far has paranormal investigating come since you got started?
Well, okie dokie. I started in 1958. Back then, there were no computers or half of the gadgets they have out now. I used mirrors, flash cameras, candles, and gut instinct.
So you didn't use recorders?
Reel-to-reel audio tape recorders were available, but at that time they were awkward in size, very large. At the point where tape recorders became manageable, I already had a set investigation style that worked for me. The same method ultimately is present even now, but you have thermometers, EMF detectors, ghost boxes, and digital voice recorders to capture voices and log information. Definitely there is more of a scientific swing to things now, while establishing the fact that there is a presence and more interaction between investigators and the paranormal.
How can people protect themselves from spirits?
For me, faith in my religion and prayer has always been the most successful. I recommend that whatever your beliefs are, you must have unquestionable faith in them, and this will help you. Also, keep negative energy, thoughts, fear, anger from your home and from yourself as much as possible. Even being within the influence of those who thrive on fear, anger, trauma, and other negative emotions can help attract attention from entities that you do not want. Another way to protect yourself is to avoid having portals in your home. An example is the Ouija board and other things like tarot cards when you don't know how to use them, as they can be gateways that allow spirits to gain access.
Gateway, so how does that work?
To understand what a spirit sees when you use a Ouija board, if you picture a large black sky with nothing in it, that is what it looks like to the other side. When you start to use a Ouija board, suddenly a window of the room with the human occupants are seen with a bright light in the midst of a black sky by the entities. They see that. It attracts them to it.
Ow, it sounds like that could be bad.
And that's why it is so important, to close the board correctly and cleanse the entire home often. If you do not close it properly, it will remain open. It is the same thing with tarot cards, and if something tragic happens, such as murder and so forth, it opens up the same kind of portal or window and will stay open until it is closed properly, which is why it is always good to have a place cleansed before moving in and several times after that.
Okay, now why is that?
Because so many people move into a house and immediately start having problems. And that is one of the reasons I think that happens, is because there has been a portal open in these houses that has not been closed properly. And they move in and suddenly they something there that is usually a very bothersome to the children. The children usually get affected by it. And yes, that's probably why it hasn't been cleansed properly.
What advice do you have for someone who feels something in their home?
On this one, honestly, you can go back to the last answer. Ensure strength in your faith, remove negative energy, and eliminate all portals. If you ultimately feel that the problem is beyond control, or just in general you worry about the situation, then reach out to a paranormal investigation team. There are virtually countless teams in existence. Not all the teams are sensitive and patient enough. They have the experience to know how to get enough evidence to record the entities. Those that do are the good ones, and I recommend you research the paranormal team you are interested in using to find the best out there that do not charge.
What source would you recommend for locating a team?
You can visit sites like United, Paranormal International, and search state by state for investigative teams to gain information.
I enjoy UPI. It's a great site. Now, speaking of paranormal investigation teams, is there anything else you would like to see paranormal teams do?
Well, there are a lot of paranormal societies and researchers that work solely on their own, keeping findings and methods to themselves for their own purposes, whatever they may be. Well, that's cool and everything. If we were to pool the information together, join together, then I believe the paranormal field would flourish. Plus, there are a lot of people out there that have reservations on paranormal evidence and everything paranormal. They call themselves paranormal enthusiasts, though they are not really believers. They tend to focus more on debunking and disproving claims without taking the time it takes to understand there is something paranormal there. I believe it's important to be objective, but there is such a thing as taking it excessively. I just think that potential photos and videos of unexplained paranormal activity is too often cast aside with one glance without really trying to see what is there before you that is paranormal.
It's dust. No, it's a bug. Wait, it's lint.
Everyone needs to learn to be more open as the paranormal goes outside of the realm of the explained. It's like the old saying, if you're looking for it, it's going to be there. If you're looking for an answer for it not to be there, it's going to be just that. If you are truly looking at it with objectivity, then you have to go over the footage multiple times, and it may turn out to not be paranormal, or the variables may point to something unexplained.
Now, what tips do you have for keeping the ghosties out?
I would refer to the answer I gave earlier. You have to keep faith in your heart and negative emotions out of your life. And now I am sure there are a lot of opinions on this, but I feel that many people don't know this or understand that demons are of the 7 deadly sins, which will cause negative emotions to feed themselves. You've got lust, greed, gluttony, other emotions like fear, anger, anything dramatic, and or wrath.
Well, how does that affect you?
You find yourself just sitting there, and then you get truly upset for no reason at your spouse, kids, or something else, and chances are there is something whispering in your ear to fuel that anger and make you upset. If you feed that by giving the reaction it is wanting, you are playing into the negative emotion and will just make the entity stronger. And I really had that happen to me. I mean, it's thrown things at me because it was in a house where there was a lot of anger.
That's
I
just
was just
nuts.
called in to get rid of it. But my response to that is to take those moments of negative thoughts and reconstruct them to positive. Be positive. React to those thoughts with your faith and a belief that they are not going to get you down and not going to be a part of your day. Throw those thoughts out.
Well, do you have any advice for people trying to contact the other side?
Anyone wanting to reach out to the other side, the biggest thing is that you should not go it alone, and most definitely you should treat the situation seriously. Too many people act silly and think, since this is probably not a true thing, they can make fun of entities, but honestly, you should reach out to someone with experience. Now, a lot of psychics and others charge for their services. I don't really recommend this approach. And again, I suggest finding a paranormal investigation team. They will not only be able to answer questions you may have, but in some cases, they could have a psychic on their team, or they may know of one.
So is that the only way to go?
There are different methods, not just psychics, for reaching out for help with the paranormal. Whatever you do, save yourself in your pocketbook by talking with people in the field who do not charge and who offer their gifts freely, as the best often do.
Thanks again to Claudia for taking the time to speak with us. It's amazing that she's been investigating since the 1950s. Wow. Now let's move on to some of our evidence from case number 3. This first evidence clip is an EVP. It occurs shortly after Greg and Kim enter the home. Let's take a listen.
Are you a man?
Makes me feel like paparazzi. We're not even in the house for a few minutes and already getting cease and desist. Now this next EVP is a little later on in Greg and Kim's investigation. Take a listen.
Was there a fire in the house that was here before?
Okay, Spirit. I know you're dead and all, but it's still kind of rude to interrupt someone when they're talking. Now you also notice how the voice was a little disturbed, a little upset. Now a little later on in the night, Sarah broke into some sandwich talk. At the end of it, here's what they caught.
Would you like to talk some more about sandwiches? No. Okay.
Guess breaking the elements of a PB&J is out of the question. Now I should point out that Kim and Sarah were alone in the house at this time. The footage is from our DVR camera. Only 2 people in the home, both female. Now our last clip is still Sarah and Kim just a few minutes later.
You just want us to keep it quiet so nobody will wake up?
Yeah, are you afraid we're disturbing people?
Think we pissed someone off because they can't have a sandwich? That voice definitely ain't female. Regardless, this was warning number 2 of Get the Fuck Gone. And sad to say, we were unaware of it until the reveal. Kind of antsy-pantsy, right? And that's the conclusion for this week's episode of the Beyond Natural. Next week, we'll be talking with Glenn Orman, a paranormal investigator from Pennsylvania and UPI Eastern Regional Director. Our topic, the Ghost Box. Now, I'll also be looking at Case 4 highlights and evidence. Till next week, keep it safe. Want to see more evidence and clips from Case 3 and other investigations? Visit our website at the link below and watch case footage on our YouTube channel. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. 'Cause it's the eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of our rival. And the last known survivor stalks his prey in the night, and he's watching us all with the eye of the tiger. Okay, I'm done.